Hi, my name's Rich Harrington.
And I'm Ian Robinson.
And we're the co-authors of the book, Motion Graphics with Adobe Creative Suite 5 Studio Techniques, where we explore tons of ways to use After Effects with the rest of the Creative Suite to get more done. And recently, Adobe released CS 5.5 with a bunch of new features. What's one of your favorite there?
Honestly, I'd have to say the red support. It is pretty insane. If you've ever had the pleasure of being able to shoot with the red camera or even manipulate footage with the red camera, this is just a must-have.
Yeah, and unlike other platforms, like there's lots of people out there saying, oh, we support red. Oh, we've got red workflows. They're working with proxy files. They're working with the real-time, QuickTime files that are embedded at proxies. They're not working with the raw video file. If you're going to spend the money to rent or buy a red, let's talk about raw. What's so cool about raw video?
Well,
it's raw.
Where to start? Yeah. I mean, any of you who've ever shot raw with still imagery, you understand if you accidentally overexpose something, which I'm sure never happens to any of you.
Right.
You can bring that back. Or if you underexpose, you can bring it up. But better yet, I mean, especially with video, if you want to create a stylistic look and you don't necessarily want to worry about the degradation of the image quality, when you're in the raw format, it's actually developing the image as you're making the adjustments and actually giving you a really beautiful, crisp, clean image that you can work with. Of course, if you shot it that way for the most part.
Yeah. Well, what's nice too here is that, you could have overexposed areas or underexposed areas that you just didn't have time to light properly, or maybe it's a lighting change, like it's sunrise or sunset. It's really difficult in those situations to often get enough information without doing really heavy grading. And with raw support here, we can tap into the entire red engine. We don't have to transcode. We don't have to convert. We don't have to bake it. We got flexibility the whole time.
Yeah, and honestly, I just got to jump in. What about the times where you're actually running from the inside of an area to the outside? Like you open the doors, and it's like the heavens have illuminated your scene. And
it's great. So let's bring in a clip. We'll just click in the project window here, and we'll navigate out to some red footage. In this case, we're bringing in a 4K file, but Adobe actually did just announce support for Epic in the 5K. If you head over to labs.adobe.com, they're supporting brand new cameras. What I love is that there's only like a couple hundred of these cameras out there, and they're already supporting it.
Yeah, no, they're just right on the ball with this.
Yeah. So we'll select a clip here. We select the .r3d for the red file, not the proxy movies. We got proxy and half and full quality. We'll go ahead and just click open, and it brings it in. All right, so we're going to go ahead and interpret this. We'll right-click on it and do Interpret Footage, Main, and there's the magic button.
That's right, more options.
More options is like After Effects engineering code for where the cool stuff lies.
That's right.
So we open this up, and we're seeing that clip. We can drag through here, and there's a lot of flexibility, right? This is a pretty tough shot. We got some sort of dark shadows here, little overexposed areas. Walk me through some of the cool things we got here.
Yeah, so first off, if you look on the right-hand side, we've got the white balance options. So you can set your white balance with an eyedropper, or you can actually go ahead and just click and drag and make adjustments on any of the sliders, whether you want to adjust the Kelvin or the tint or the saturation.
So I'm just going off of that white highlight on his jacket, and that's obviously a quick change there, but it worked well. We got a better skin tone.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Okay. And then up here, we have some more advanced options here to actually sort of remove some noise in the color channels if we needed to. So if we did have a lot of low light shooting or with a lot of noise that we didn't want, we could strip some of that out.
Yep.
Okay. So after the decode method and the white balance, and notice how those just collapse up, what are we looking at with color settings?
Color settings is really where a lot of the power is hidden, because in here you can make adjustments to your ISO after it's been shot.
Right. So we can go ahead and sort of tweak our exposure here. And that's not just making brighter. I mean, that's like a true exposure change where we could blow out some of the highlights if we wanted.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted sort of a, high contrast look where the blown out highlights, but then you wanted to put a little bit of contrast back into your blacks, we have a cool blowout effect.
Yeah.
Or, we can go ahead and recover some of those highlights that were blown out and then just actually turn around and lift the shadowy area sort of back up.
Yep, most definitely. But like in this pull down with the ISO, you can literally click on that and say, well, what if I shot it with 800 film? Boom.
Yeah.
Check that out. I mean, that's insane.
That's pretty amazing that we're actually changing the speed of the film after the fact to sort of adjust its sensitivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's amazing. I mean, just, let's go with something a little bit more normal, like 320.
Yep.
And, we say, all right, this is pretty good. We've gone ahead and we're going to lift the exposure back up so it's a little bit more properly exposed. But I want to go ahead and play with the shadows here just a little bit. And we could bring those down if we wanted to get a little more contrast in them or lift them up.
Yep.
We've actually got individual controls on overall contrast.
Yep.
And of course, the ability to knock down some of those blown out highlights there. I mean, look at those highlights get recovered.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, see the detail on the edge of the hair. It's just really nice and crisp and clean.
Yeah. And so we're getting all this great flexibility. And of course, we have the ability to set our color space. So
Yep.
we can work in the native red color space, or we can go down to 709 if we're going to do HD delivery,
Yep.
or maybe we're using Adobe color space or camera RGB. So full support for whether your workflow be broadcast or feature film.
Yeah, no, it's really excellent stuff. And if you collapse color settings, we can jump right down to the next fun area that I like to call curve settings.
Right. And if there's curves, we probably don't want to actually do it here. We want to
Right.
come down and use the curve itself. So
That's right.
this is sort of a GUI for what's happening up here. And if I look at this, I see that our reds are not perfectly balanced. So we could just go right over to the red channel.
Yep.
And we can play with just the skin tones here. If we wanted to strip a little bit of red out, like if it maybe, his skin tones were coming too through and we wanted to be a little bit more like early evening and make it feel like it's changing day, or maybe it's bright sun time.
Yeah.
Pull that up a little bit. And then obviously we can go into the individual color channels and manipulate them one off.
Yeah. And as you make these adjustments right there in the curves, you can always definitely go back and look at the channel sliders and see exactly how you're making the adjustments and how that's affecting each one of the sliders.
Yeah, and then so you can learn there. Like here, we're going to go ahead and sort of lift up the midtones and pull down the highlights, and we'll pull the shadows up a little bit here too. And that's a very big change to the overall exposure of the shot.
Yep.
And then our last areas down here are lift, gamma, and gain overall. And this allows you to sort of go in one channel at a time and adjust sort of the overall. You see there how it's shifting quite a bit. You want to be careful. These areas are more for color cast if you need to, or if you want to sort of brighten up a particular area. But minor adjustments, pretty useful still. And I think the best thing here is the ability to actually save a preset.
Oh, yeah, especially if you went out and you shot a bunch of footage one afternoon and the light was just kind of horrendous that day and everything just has a specific tint to it, or it's just offset all the exact same way.
Or my favorite is the client goes over and starts monkeying with your calibrated monitor.
That
I can't
never
tell you
happens.
this. The shot looked dark, so I brightened up the monitor so I could see it.
That's
Great.
right.
We shot everything wrong.
Yeah.
On my set, I put tape over all the buttons.
That's right. Yeah, that's I just can't. I'm sorry for you.
Yes, but when you shoot raw, not that you want to know this, but you actually never made those decisions on set. You can make decisions on set, but you've got a huge amount of latitude afterwards here.
Yeah. And that's for us to know and the clients never to find out.
Right. Don't let them know that this is easy.
That's
Just
right.
let them know you need to shoot on red or one of the other raw cameras as this comes out. More manufacturers are adding support for native raw workflows. But right now, even Red said it, Adobe has the best red workflow out there. And it works in After Effects. It works in Premiere Pro. It's been used on tons of feature films.
Yeah.
This is really cool stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, what's also great, when we're finished, all we have to do is click OK and it's set. It's ready for use in the project. It's not like we click OK and then go do our render walk and have a cup of coffee for a half an hour as it sits there and makes adjustments.
Yeah.
It's just automatically adjusted and you can go right into your After Effects workflow.
There it is. If we needed to make the change, we could just select the footage and we can go ahead, just select it up here. We'll say, oh, I'm not sure where that is in my project. Reveal it in my project. It found it. Obviously, with only 2 sources, it wasn't
right.
hard. But if this is a big project, that little
Yes.
right click is a good thing.
That's right. The hundreds of layer projects. Yes.
And then just a right click, you go into that interpret footage main and we say, oh, that's looking pretty good. More options.
Yep.
Let's just pull that midtone down a little bit and let's put a little bit more contrast into the blacks. So we're there. We'll put a little more contrast, take that up. And maybe here under the decoding, we want a little bit more smoothness.
Yep.
Click OK. And look, it already updated. There was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no rendering. I mean, here's the shot. We click RAM preview and it's just caching those frames and it's ready to go.
Yeah, no, it's almost obscene, the amount of control and lack of time that it takes to actually do this.
And as motion graphic artists, we know you have all the time you need, and you certainly are not a control freak.
Right. Never.
So if you want to check out some more great stuff you could do with the Adobe Creative Suite and After Effects, we invite you to check out the book, Motion Graphics with Adobe Creative Suite 5 Studio Techniques. It's from Peach Pit Press. Lots of things. It explores everything, 3D, vectors, sound, audio, photos, you name it. We sort of share with you our best techniques that we've built up through the years.
Yeah, most definitely. And like Rich said, it's really important because it actually uses the entire Creative Suite. You know, we've definitely focused on After Effects here and the Red Workflow, but this Red Workflow is integrated right into Premiere and some other things like that.
Yeah, so, and there's a lot of other ways that Premiere Pro can benefit the After Effects user. Real-time audio editing, lots of support for formats, the ability to do things like actually speech search to find a particular clip, lots of good things. And of course, obviously, you've been using Photoshop and Illustrator for years. We just show you some cool features you might have missed. So be sure to check out the book. Hope you enjoyed this. And we've got other videos posted that show you some of the other features in After Effects CS 5.5. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good one.